Sepulveda Boulevard
Yeah.
along here.
Mm-hmm.
And the access to the project will come into a driveway here, and then there will be the commercial.
That's important, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going there.
That was the building
Yeah,
inspector.
that's your new place.
Assembly part of the building. Then there is the commercial space.
It's like a comedy
Then there is
skit.
the primary lobby, the residential entry.
Prospective tenants look at,
So the goal is to have active live uses along the frontage to keep the Sepulveda Boulevard frontage active and interesting.
How's it look to you? Look good to you?
The commercial's gonna be
Getting a good look?
on
Look
the
good?
Sepulveda side.
have a down payment right now.
When you then go back, there's parking, and then there are some units around the back portion of the
okay.
building. Below, there are 2 levels of subterranean parking for the rest of the parking.
Are they gonna have a bellhop?
Yes, parking.
Guest parking.
There is no guest parking required, but we have extra parking in the building. So it's
Well, like
not,
what's extra?
well,
Instead of 24, there's another 7.
but with the units, some people will only want to rent one space, some people will want to rent more, so it will be unbundled to create opportunities for guest parking.
So in other words, you're not providing with every unit a parking space.
We have 1.5 units as an average per parking space.
Okay.
Some have more, some have less. Some people, because it's close to transit, may want to take advantage of the extra parking available, some won't. And that should have lots of different opportunities for parking within the
And another question I have. What would be the rental
Great.
rate?
Great. When we look at the average market rental rates right now for 2 bedrooms, it's around 1,500. These will be market rate when they come online, so I don't know exactly what that will be.
So it'll be around 1,500.
Maybe. The low-income units will be restricted. This last year, they were around 600. So there will be a variation in the rents throughout the building.
So basically, there's only less than, about 10%, just a little bit over 10%.
15%.
Just like 2 years ago.
Did you have a question? Sorry?
No, sir, we're feeling very good about this.
Okay.
Why didn't you wanna build a fire station?
You're recognized.
Why do people
You know,
think?
this is, I've got the floor.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, this is actually a fantastic project, but it could become a nightmare. As I chaired the company for almost 18 years, which is basically funding for the federal government, which I don't know if you applied for or if you're given some of that money, but the mixed use on the bottom, if they're not careful, when you asked him what's gonna go in there, he said, I don't know. So you can turn in this beautiful project that looks good now, and if you get the piñatas and you get all that clothing out there, and you get all.
Marijuana dispensary.
We don't want any more.
Trying
to get rid of 'em.
Liquor store.
I have to drive before Mr. Chairman. What this can become is a nightmare. What kind of guarantees that these are
No
gonna
guarantee.
be top-notch retailers or very good retailers? It could be
I don't want you
anybody
yelling at me
there,
anymore.
which means that everything above can end up a low income housing. It could turn into, and this has happened, if you folks wanna see it, mixed-use housing on Central and the 2900 block of Vermont. Now, these are different areas, but if you don't control the mixed use on the bottom, it will affect everything all the way up. Then plus you have the building next to you. What kind of arrangement, do you know of anything that's gonna be happening to the building next to you?
We don't know of anything with that building yet. We're hopeful that something will happen.
But the mixed use can become a very, it can become a nice.
Penelope.
But I would think that
Excuse me,
they have an
I have
interest.
the floor.
Yes.
A perfect example is right up the street here of an apartment that was built, a beautiful apartment with mixed use. They could not rent the mixed use. It is now turned into a school, and it's a nightmare on the bottom. For all those renters on top, they have a school.
If there-
And
if-
I
an
feel that
alternative
it's
school to boot.
way too
No, I've been quiet
dense
on
for
most
the
It's all the
area.
delinquent kids.
180 units at Sherman
north
Way
and
and
LA, near Wells
Sepulveda
Fargo.
is a very,
It is
very
art
dense
school.
piece of property with 180 units.
They're outside.
Okay.
Watching.
But we have a nightmare right up here because they could not.
In terms of the commercial use, we don't know exactly what will happen. If there was something like a school, they would be subject to conditional use review. So if there was some sort of use that was going to have some sort of issue, they would have to come back and get review and approval for that. Our intent is for quality neighborhood serving uses in the ground floor to make sure that this is a successful building. There's a significant investment that will go into this building, and they're going to be looking for quality tenants that will make it successful.
But that's what we heard from them, and now we have the biggest nightmare, and this is a brand-new project here that could not get any kind of commercial buy-in. And so,
I think the problem.
what's the guarantee to us? Because here we are again, a community that wants to be better, and we have to be assured that we're getting the best we can get. And I don't feel confident that we're gonna get a good,
I agree.
What
retail
would
on
you
the
be
block.
looking for in terms of something that would help? I mean, other than the fact that we're here with a, well-designed, successful building that we want to be successful, it's not our intent to have something not work, in terms of the project.
but you don't always have control over that. in the
Well,
end.
but
Mr. President.
this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to improve the boulevard, and I think with the changes that will happen here, this will be a revitalization opportunity at that intersection. This building will start to help improve that area.
Not if
We're
it's
hoping
parking.
that it will work.
Mr. Friedman, Mr. Ackerman, and then Mr. Luna.
I commend your
Mayor-
project.
This is Maryland.
I think it shows thoughtful design. Yes, it's a dense use, but as the gentleman points out, we hear so much about the need for housing in Los Angeles. And this is, I'm imagining the owner that's also come out tonight, that's making a multi-million-dollar investment in the neighborhood. These are bringing families modern homes with modern conveniences. Yeah, I know the project you're talking about with the school out front, but we also want students to learn in our communities. Those students are there in the daytime when many of the tenants are off to work. And it's never perfect. There's no way that we can ask these gentlemen to guarantee anything when it comes to the retail space other than what common sense would dictate, which in my mind means, of course, they want Class A tenants. They would love to have a Starbucks down at the bottom. They would love to have a high-quality tenant like an Italian restaurant or something that is attractive to the community. The last thing they want is to scare their tenants off by putting a crappy retailer down below or a dispensary or something that promotes something unwanted. So we've got to give them the benefit of the doubt here and recognize that they too are taking a chance by building a building like this. This isn't all fun and games. This is a businessman that's taking a chance on this community and putting millions and millions of dollars into a development that I think looks great and I think will complement our community. So I enjoyed your presentation and commend you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ackerman, Mr. Luna, and then Ms. Havard, and then Carino.
So I'm not entirely sure how long it's been since some of my colleagues have went apartment shopping. But I did do some apartment shopping along this area, and there is a lot of density, and this wouldn't be too out of place in such a market. And I think that the design for the slightly mixed use, where it's mostly residential, but there's some business downstairs, makes a lot of sense. You could reduce some trips. When you presented, you said restaurant. There are several examples of that working. In fact, most European cities have like the old downtown, town center area. That's exactly what it is. It's retail downstairs, residential upstairs. It is a little bigger application of that principle, but it works. In the committee, we talked about perhaps a little more affordable housing or some greener tweaks to the design. I want to know if you've looked into any of that and what's feasible, possibly. Or realistically?
Yeah, so some of the things that we talked about in the committee were, is there some ability to do some different affordable levels within the project? We don't have the ability to change the affordable level significantly. We've done a financial analysis now, and in order to provide the 20 units that we are providing, that's sort of at the threshold of where it's feasible. The other thing that we talked about was the opportunity to do something on the roof. some sort of green opportunity on the roof.
You can park
When we talk to building and safety about that, the height requirements that we're dealing with and the infrastructure that would be needed to support that is also unfortunately not going to work out. But, you know, there is opportunities. We will have solar panel wiring done so that the roof would be ready for solar panels. And there are other opportunities that we can use, you know, on the rooftop level for green amenities.
Luna, Havard, then De La Cuesta.
My comments have already been said.
Ms. Havard.
Really? Thank you. I personally think it's too big. I like the idea. I like the mixed use. That's great. And it looks nice. I think it's too big. Will these units all have individual water meters?
Yes.
Great. Where are we getting the water for all these people?
Through
You don't worry about
DWP.
that, right?
7-Eleven.
Through DWP.
There's a major problem with the shortage.
Thank you.
Karina?
Personally, I think it brings a new model to the area because the way how Van Nuys and how everything is designed is oriented by the car. Around this area, it has improved with some of the restaurants that are in that one mall right west of Sepulveda on Sherman Way. It brings attention, and you know, I think if you promote more pedestrian-oriented activity, it would make an area more safer and more appealing for the area, and hopefully be safer than, you know, some of the stuff that's been occurring along Sepulveda. So I do approve this project. I think it's different than the project up in Van Owen and Van Nuys because it's set back and it's oriented to the cars, which it doesn't give no sense of, you know, human element. Just and now they're using it. The school right now is using it as a playground, which they should have done that in the beginning, like a little open space rather than a place where people could park the cars.
Candido.
Just one last, thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is a great project. The mixed use is what's bothering me. Have you tried to bring anybody? You say it could be 5 units, 1,000, correct? Or it could be 1 or 5,000. Have you looked for any reputable business to come in there? Because if you did that, this project would be out.
First.
We are looking, but until we have the approvals and we have, you know, more security, we can't really market it as successfully.
exactly.
Yeah, but we will definitely be looking for quality tenants.
And
That's
then
what,
hopefully we can fix the building next to you and then that whole area could be.
that would be outstanding.
Well, it's very aesthetic, and the neighborhood needs it.
The office building is derelict next to you?
Presently.
That's what I thought.
I make a motion we adopt the language in 8E as is.
Question. I have another question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna provide?
Second.
Any possible way for a restaurant to come in? So once everything is built, you won't be able to put a hood, for example.
Didn't we just get a motion in a second? I think that just happened, right?
I'm
You
sorry.
motioned and he seconded it.
Overlooked when they kept,
If somebody wants to
Changing
rent the
people.
commercial end of it and open a restaurant house, once the building is already built, it's very hard to put like a hood for cooking and stuff.
There will be opportunities for that. It will
Would?
be, yes, because we don't know what type of tenant will be in there. But the ultimate complete build-out will be incumbent upon the end tenants to, you know, do their TIs.
So there is a possibility.
There is a possibility.
Okay. The
Definitely.
other concern I have, I don't think the commercial has enough parking. Is there any way to add a few more parking spaces for the commercial only?
We have tried to put as many parking spaces in it as we can, and we've put the extra ones for the commercial. They're almost at the most the most restrictive parking ratio that the city has. You know, we didn't. If you just had retail parking there, it would be less. So we've over-parked it for retail and office, but you know, with the intent that hopefully it could be a restaurant.
So how many parking again the commercial is gonna have?
31.
31.
Mr. Ackerman.
With
I think it's.
regard to Mr. Lazarowicz's comment, there's also a huge parking lot across the street that if there is overflow of those 31 units, people could park at that parking lot and walk across the street.
yeah.
You can park there.
I make a motion, we
say
adopt the
TPS.
language in 8E as is.
Second.
With that, I call for the vote, Madam Secretary.
I think it's
Un
a
momento,
question.
por favor. Okay, where's my next one? Okay. Oh, I did have one already, didn't I? Whoops, sorry. Already had one ready to go. Okay,
Starbucks downstairs and a-
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin.
Yes.
Mr. Hendry.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Anand, gone. Mr. Ackerman,
Yes.
Mr. Camara,
Yes.
Mr. De La Cuesta,
Yes.
Ms. Havard,
Yes.
Mr. Lazarovitz.
Yes.
Got it right. Yay!
you.
Finally, Mr. Luna,
Yes.
Mr. Sorry, Mr. Lynn,
No.
Ms. Meyer.
Yes.
She's gone. Ms. Raines,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins.
Yes.
She's gone. Mr. Friedman.
Yes.
It passes.
Passes.
Thank you all very much. for the
Great, yeah, go
opportunity
through
to present.
Carino for the letter of support, and we'll get it signed, and we got you covered.
Thank you.
Moving on, 8F, 6710 Van Nuys Boulevard, conditional use request for conditional use for a body repair garage with a spray booth. Operational hours will be from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 12 on Saturday. They'll be closed on Sunday. They are asking for a letter of support. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Cindy Kirchen, and thank you for listening to our request.
Hello?
Want to spray paint Miriam or what?
Give her-
I have pictures, and I don't have such a wonderful presentation, but I'd like to pass out some of these pictures so you can see where the location of the body shop is. It's on Van Nuys Boulevard. Have you already seen it? Okay.
You can have it.
We have already obtained our permits from the South Coast Air Quality Management District. We have done a disclosure because the facility is within 1,000 feet of a school, we had to do a disclosure to all of the residents and businesses within 1,000 feet of the facility. This included notifying the schools, the pupils, and their parents. The letter was prepared by an engineer at the AQMD in English and in Spanish. The letter talked about the spray booth that's going to be at the auto repair facility, and everything is in compliance. After 60 days, there were no comments from the public. It was a public notice. We then went to the Los Angeles Fire Department and obtained a permit for the spray booth, which is a totally enclosed piece of equipment. And we also got a permit from the fire department for a dry chemical fire suppression system because the building is not sprinklered. And we finally got a permit from the Department of Building and Safety Electrical Division to hook up the motor and the lights for the spray booth. So we're looking for, we had to get a CUP from the City of Los Angeles because we're located within 500 feet radius of a single apartment building.
Any questions for Cindy?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we give this lady what she's asking for. I swear to you, I'll give you $1,000 if this place votes no on this.
Candido.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, first of all, thank you for being here. There's a couple of body shops over on Calvert. It would be nice if it was in that area. There's a lot of mud. But they're not complying. They're doing all their sanding, they're doing some of their spraying. You would come here with all the documentation, you went through all the procedures. I'd like to see something different there, but you were doing your.
Well, actually, we're very near a tire shop. It's an industrial area that there happens to be an apartment building.
Boulevard, we'd like to see better things. But again.
It's a very clean shop, and I have, thank you.
Thank you for noticing. I'm trying so hard.
Penelope.
Is this where the?
Thank you, Donna. Penelope's recognized.
I'm sorry.
It's got a picture of an appliance shop, is that what it
That's our
is?
neighbor, to show that it is that type of a automotive area where you have the appliance shop, there's a tire shop near us. It's kind of a little automotive stretch in that area, which benefits us because we get walk-in, we'll be getting
So
that
is
business.
it brand new, this?
It's a brand-new spray booth. It's totally contained.
Because it was my understanding that we weren't allowed to have any more auto-related businesses on Van Nuys Boulevard in that section.
It's an existing business.
Property that Veruge.
It's an existing business.
Oh, he already, that, Veruge was
Is an existing business?
was the same thing
It's an
before.
existing business.
He was a garage.
Expanding to provide
Oh, I
paint jobs.
understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How would the neighbor feels about it?
I'm sorry?
How would the neighbors feel about it?
The neighbors have all been notified.
Yeah.
Nobody complained, she said.
But business owners and schools that are 1,000 feet away, St. Elizabeth School and the Ararat Charter School. And the notice went out for 60 days, and there were no comments. There was no anybody speaking up about it.
How about the neighbors behind you? There's apartment buildings.
They were the first ones that got
Okay.
notified.
I just want to make sure they're
Do
okay
you
with
own
it.
the auto business that's there now?
I don't, I'm personally.
but I mean-
The owner is right here. Do you own?
You own that whole property?
No, we're renting it.
But that's what I mean, the 6-bay auto repair facility is yours?
Yeah.
And then,
No, it's a different business.
okay, that was my question. So you're just going to be taking this part right here? And you don't own the pot shop?
The pot, oh, there is a marijuana dispensary. But I believe they terminated.
Did they? Yes! That's why Veruge left.
Did you want to see this?
It was illegal anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shut it down.
Okay.
Okay.
We can just get to the vote.
Any
We'll have
other
to vote yes.
Didn't have a
questions?
second. I would like to hear one, or it's moot.
Oh, now you want to follow Robert's rules. Now would be the
sorry,
time
but-
for that? Oh,
I'm sorry, but
Okay, all right.
I'm just stating the fact that I did
Now would
not
be a
hear
good
one, so
time for
therefore I
Robert's
did not
rules.
write
Got
it
it.
down. Excuse me.
Have no
Get a
fear, this is
comment. I
going to
just
get
need a
voted
second.
yes. Like, have no fear. This council votes yes on literally everything. Don't worry about it.
Is there a second?
Second.
You can't second it. You made the motion.
I thought we weren't following the rules. Oh, we got a second.
Please, who seconded it? Jason? Thank you.
I call for the vote.
Not funny, Daniel, not at all.
It's the fact that we're over an hour and a half late. That's what's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, okay. Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin,
No.
Mr. Hendry,
Yes.
myself, I'm going to abstain. He's gone. Mr. Ackerman,
Yes. Sí.
Mr. Camara,
Sí. Sí, señor.
Mr. De La Cuesta,
Yes.
Ms. Havard.
I'm going to say yes because we always say yes to everything.
We kind of do. Look at the minutes.
I
Kinda
didn't.
do.
I
Kinda
didn't.
do.
Mr. Lazarovitz,
Yes.
Mr. Luna,
Yes.
Mr. Lynn,
Yes.
Ms. Meyer.
I'm actually voting no.
Thank you.
Go it down here.
Gone. Ms. Raines,
Abstain.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
and Mr. Friedman.
Yes.
Passes.
Very good. The last final bit of business before we adjourn the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council to officially designate Councilman John Henry, the contributing editor of the VNNC newsletter. The VNNC to establish this newsletter on a monthly or quarterly basis under the leadership of Councilman John Henry. I make a motion, we adopt the language in 8G as is and start a newsletter.
Seconded.
With that, I call for the vote, Madam Secretary.
Un momento, por favor.
I vote yes.
I was taking the last one. Oh, okay. Okay, one second, Renee, because I also didn't get what it was. Okay, so we got E, F,
Your vehicle require a bank just
we're on G.
Oh, my mommy.
Okay, motion made by George, who seconded it?
Me.
Thank you.
Stay behind us.
Okey dokey.
Nightmares about this meeting last night.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin,
Yes.
Mr. Hendry,
Aye, yes.
Ms. Hop, aye. And Mr. Ackerman,
Yes.
Mr. Camara,
See?
Mr. De La Cuesta,
Yes.
Ms. Havard,
Yes.
Mr. Lazarovitz,
Yes.
Good luck.
Mr. Luna. Mr. Lynn.
Yes.
Ms. Meyer.
Yeah.
Ms. Raines.
Yes.
Mr. Robbins.
Yes.
Mr. Friedman.
Yes.
Passes.
All right, public comment. Hear you. Yes.
Quickly, I want to thank Ms. Hoff for donating the amount of money to the Catholic organization, which was really nice of her. We have two parks here that could really use the donation, so Ms. Hoff, I would like to ask you if you'd be willing to do the same kind of donations to the Van Nuys Park and to the Williams Park, and also.
If you will, I might think about it.
I will mention.
I'd like to see that, proof of that.
But that's part of the, one of the things that you do not know is when we were questioned, I think a year ago or 2 years ago by the YMCA when they were putting together the baskets, Valerio, you questioned, well, where do the kids come from? They're from Blythe. I ran this program for many years, and probably a third of our kids for that project, for that party come from Blythe Street. I want you to know that smart for outside the district. I'll be mean, guys.
Blythe Street,
Yeah, the kids from Blythe Street come to our party. They come to about a third of the kids. I can bring you the record.
yeah, it's on the,
Because I remember, I've been with.
I'm well aware of that, but if that's a third, that means 2/3 are in the community. Thank you. It is a poor and underprivileged community. I'm not going to argue with you, not supposed to say back, but I am, so I'm just letting you know.
They are coming to the area.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's all
already
right.
known that.
not yet.
I think you,
Is there any further
Right,
public
right.
comment?
No.
They're talking about with the red line and the orange line, that purple line, they want to go like with numbers. It's going to be confusing. I don't like it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Nicely said.
All right. Anything else, council?
Let's help.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See everyone in January.